Metropolitan area for the mania of WrestleMania. They call it WrestleMania. Don't call it mania. Just call it WrestleMania. What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin Kelm. This is WrestleZone Daily. Streaming you from the NBC Tower in downtown Chicago. Special guest joining us on the podcast, on the show. You know him from telling tales of the internet. He goes by the name Whang. Whang, how are you, bud? How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah,
I like that theme song. It's very Steel Panther meets F-Zero.
Yeah, my delightful musical roommate, Andy Milne, very fun musical comedian, he wrote that. I gave him 2 notes. I said, here's the Ultimate Warrior theme song. More on the Ultimate Warrior in a little bit. And Mortal Kombat. He loves all the music from Mortal Kombat. He goes,
"That's so perfect." As soon as I heard those, I remember the synth hits in there. The bang, yeah. Mortal Kombat, straight up.
like once he played it for me, I was like, almost in tears because it was like he literally. I just said, "Here's what you do." He's like, "What do you want for lyrics?" He's like, "Just say WrestleZone a lot." And then he's like, "It was like, oh, okay, cool." All right, if you're joining us for the first time, I'm Kevin Kelm. This website we do is WrestleZone. We're a big hub for the wrestling news. We're going to get into all the different current stuff in a little bit with Joe Jansen from the news desk about what's going on with WWE. We're a month out from WrestleMania. It's the biggest wrestling show of the year. This is the time when all of us wrestling geeks can get our other geeky friends who are into video games or sports or fantasy football or I don't know, whatever. You know, maybe we can get them to put down the Magic cards, the Pokemon for a little bit and watch some of the wrestling with us. And Wang, you've covered some of that in your YouTube series, Tales of the Internet. You've done some deep dives on some weird wrestling memes. Which big ones have you covered?
I did the 2 Ultimate Warriors. Everyone has to remember that old rumor that the Ultimate Warrior died and they replaced him with Terry Taylor or someone else. That was a good one.
The Red Rooster got real big, real quick.
Yeah, not Terry Taylor. Who the? Kerry Von Erich. I don't know why I said Terry Taylor. That's a very different people.
Yeah, 2 very different people. Yes, but it was certainly a really fun thing. You've also done some really cool stuff on wrestling video games.
Oh yeah.
And some really messed up things that are hidden in some old 90s wrestling video games, specifically WrestleMania, the arcade game, in which you could just like pull out a bat from out of your pants and just hit somebody in the ring with it. It was pretty crazy games there in the 90s, right?
I mean, the endings were what was really crazy about that one. I had done a video about just the endings from WrestleMania, the arcade game, and they're really strangely dark, especially for that PG time of WWF. Like Razor Ramon goes back to Cuba and gets beaten to death and his title gets stolen. That's you won the game as Razor Ramon and that's what happens to you.
It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. But wrestling was something you certainly grew up with. What's your first big wrestling memory for like you as a fan? Like was it the video games that introduced you to it? Were you watching it?
See, it's kind of blurry for me. Because growing up, my mother was a wrestling fan, so I had VHS tapes from before I was born. So, you know, like when you're a kid, you have that phase where you don't really have memories. There was wrestling in there, but I don't remember it. And then at some point, you come to consciousness and, hey, there's wrestling there.
Yeah, there you go. You were raised in a wrestling household.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not. I had an older brother who got the Hulk Hogan workout kit. And I could just remember him lifting these dumbbells, which are not real dumbbells. They were filled with sand. And he had the Hulk Hogan workout. And that was my first introduction to wrestling. I was like, oh, he's working out to be a wrestler. I was 4. I just thought my older brother Kieran was going to become a wrestler because he had the Hulk Hogan workout kit. Yeah. It made complete sense. There was a tape. If you can look up the Hulk Hogan workout tape, it's pretty ridiculous.
I think I remember that.
It's an audio. Maybe that's a deep dive for you. That's your next video is the Hulk Hogan workout kit.
Actually, now thinking about those memories, I remembered a really dumb one. It might actually be the earliest coherent memory like that. So, as a kid, my mother was a huge Bret Hart fan, and so one day, I forgot what the context was. I was in kindergarten, and I said my mother's boyfriend is the Hitman, and my teacher wasn't a wrestling fan, so like they think there's a literal fucking hitman in the picture. So they bring me to the principal's office, call my parents up, and bring them in. And luckily, the assistant principal was a wrestling fan. So after she explained it, he got it, and the whole thing was like that was the end of it.
It's pretty ridiculous. I got into trouble for like beating up my brothers and like putting a hole in my parents' garage doing backyard wrestling.
Oh man.
Yeah, I do. If you're a wrestling fan for long enough, someone's going to get hurt. You're going to upset somebody. Someone's feelings are going to get hurt. There's too much invested in the ring, man.
Yeah. So, if you grew up with wrestling, 90% of the trouble you got into as a kid was wrestling related.
Did you have the T-shirts that you would wear to school? Because I went to Catholic school my whole year, so we couldn't wear like the T-shirts. But the T-shirts were a big thing that I know other kids who went to public school got into trouble for, because they would wear like the Austin 316 shirt or the DX Suck It shirt or something like that to school, and they would get in trouble for it. They would be doing crotch chops in the grade school. You can't do that. You can't get away with that. See, I never had any of the more offensive wrestling shirts. It was always the South Park shirts that got me in trouble. We're getting live checks so people can join in and throw in all their different stuff here. They're asking about your lucha masks in the background. Oh, I see those in the video all the time. Let's show some off here. Yeah, so I have first one there is Ultimo Dragon. Oh, yeah. The belts, the belt master, when he would walk out on WCW with like way too much belts. Yeah, that was it was very impressive. They got a Tiger Mask, Great Sasuke. Oh man, and El Generico. Yeah, so then when you're wrestling fan and it starts with your mom, then you start going down a deeper dive or into more obscure stuff or stuff that just isn't obviously WWE. So who's the wrestler? It's like, now I'm a fan. I saw that guy. This is the wrestler I really like. This is what, because when you're a kid, it's easy, the big cartoon characters. But when you're a teenager, that's when you want to start seeing some badasses do some badass stuff. When I first started going down that route with wrestling, it was 100% all ECW. I used to go to all the Elks Lodge shows, Queens Boulevard, and then it was pretty much whoever like was the top guy at the time would be the guy that I was super into. Tommy Dreamer, who actually I got to shoot a music video with my old band, The World We Knew, which is pretty cool. That's pretty sweet, man. What did he do in the music video? He kicked our asses. Basically, the story of that music video was he was the next door neighbor of this house party we were having, and he can't get his shit done because he's hearing this loud music coming from next door. So he walks over and kicks everyone's ass. Was it something where you had to pitch this to the band? Like, listen, guys, in this video, we get our ass kicked by this guy who's made a living of getting his ass kicked and kicking other people's asses. And were people, were they not on the idea? Were they like, yeah, let's do it? Oh, no, that whole band, we were all wrestling fans. Okay, so it was that. Yeah. It kind of just came about organically in the van one day that we want to get an actual wrestler in the video. And we just went down of who we might be able to get in touch with. And Dreamer was on the short list and he was able to do it. And he did a great job. I love people talking about the different things they did when they were a kid and they got into trouble for, it says, I got into trouble in school for wearing a Razor Ramon oozing machismo. Oh. There's always the silliest things sometimes that a teacher will home in on. Because that in and of itself is not an offensive thing, but I guess a teacher can interpret it some way. Like I'm guessing they probably thought it was a sexual thing or whatever. I can see oozing machismo is up there. Yeah. Michael Pereiro texting in here saying Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 10. We're talking wrestling memories from your childhood, but the biggest ones that stand out is WrestleMania. This is like if you don't watch wrestling around the clock, like I have to all the time because I love it, right? And there's some days where I don't, but I always look forward to WrestleMania. It always feels special. It's that show that anyone who's either casual or a super dedicated fan or a fan that liked it a little bit more when they're younger and then comes back to it or enjoys specific characters in it, there's got to be some WrestleManias that come to mind for you. Is there a specific one that comes to mind?
Oh, there's plenty. The guy that said WrestleMania 10, obviously that's the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match, right?
Yeah, that's 94.
That's the second one, right? Or was that the first one?
No, that was the first one, and then they did a rematch like later that year, and it was like a lot less violent. But the first one was like, whoa! It was WrestleMania 10 94, and that was Madison Square Garden.
I had never seen anything like that in my life up to that point. It completely blew my mind for what the possibilities could be. I mean, I guess that was like my first taste of what would be that ECW style that I got super into later on. That was definitely a formative experience watching that.
Is there like a WrestleMania where you just watch it for the what the heck are they doing? Because you kind of have that with the approach you have to your videos. Like, this got made, and now we get to look at it this completely different way. Like, especially you have a good sense of grabbing onto nostalgia and saying like, this was something in 1990 or this is something in 2000 that like clicked at the time, but look at it now and frame it this way. And that's something you kind of do in your videos and deeper dives into weird things like that. Is there some wrestling stuff where you look at it like, why do they do this? Why do they do this at WrestleMania 9 when they did the Caesar's Palace crazy stuff? It was fun as a joke, but at the time you're watching, you're like, what are they doing? See,
with WrestleMania specifically, I hadn't thought of any moments like that. Growing up, I was always more of a Royal Rumble guy. And thinking about that, there was always this one thing that happened. I think it was the first Royal Rumble. There was a part where two guys came out at the same time and couldn't figure out whose slot it was. And I never knew if that was planned or if they just literally got confused and had to figure it out. I think one of them was Don Morocco. I don't remember who the other one was.
Have you ever been to a WrestleMania live in person? You ever been to one?
I went to the CM Punk versus Undertaker one.
Oh, dude, so jealous. You got to see twice in a lifetime Rock versus Cena.
Oh yeah.
Where he like rips his abdomen and he can like barely finish the match, but he did it. And
he powered through it.
Yeah, he did. But that Punk Undertaker match was the match.
That was 100% the show stealer of that WrestleMania.
Yeah, so
that was such a good match.
No, you went to some ECW shows. I didn't know this. I never got to go see ECW live, so you got to see it live, and it was certainly something where it was the experience, the crowd. It was certainly like a cultural seismic shift of extreme, and everything's very politically incorrect by today's standards. But what was ECW like back at that time? You went to a handful of shows, the Elk Lodge, like those packed shows where we run on top of the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it was another thing like that where, I mean, at the time, even thinking back now, going to those ECW shows, I had never went to a lot of wrestling shows in person before that. So to kind of get dropped right into, I guess, like the deep end of what live wrestling is like as a kid, I don't even know how to like the word that I'm looking for to explain that.
I know. I get that, man. It's a lot to dig into. If you're just joining us, this is at Justin Whang. Give him a follow over on the Twitters. And, of course, check out his YouTube channel. It digs into all the different weird stuff of the internet, some weird memery, and some fun wrestling things, too. Deep dives into old school wrestling video games and such. Now, I know WrestleMania is going to be up near your neck of the woods. You're a New Yorker, and you told me you're not going to WrestleMania, but there's another big show you are excited about that's going to be there that weekend.
Oh, yeah. Of course, Ring of Honor and New Japan at Madison Square Garden for so many reasons. And I got super lucky. I was trying to figure out how I would actually get there because it sold out really fast.
Super fast.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, my friend Charlie hits me up, who's flying out from Washington. And he's like, yeah, I have another ticket. You want to buy it? Of course I want to buy it.
You got pretty lucky there, yeah.
I got extremely lucky.
Yeah, and is it a show that's just as interesting to you with the advent of these all elite characters and those guys splitting off and forming their own group, which some, especially the more internet-oriented fans, the fans like 18 to 40, are really being driven by that. And now all those guys aren't there. Is the show less interesting now, or are you just like, no, I'm going to see live wrestling at the Garden, and it's going to be ROH, New Japan, and all these stars I've never seen, especially the New Japan guys are going to be. Yeah. Is it still appealing to you, or is it just like, oh, I'm just going for the fun?
No, it's. I mean, part of it. Like I haven't. I've definitely fallen behind on both Ring of Honor and New Japan, but there's definitely something to the appeal of just being able to see that at Madison Square Garden in person. And then there's a lot of guys who are, on the New Japan roster that I don't think, is there even an announced card for it yet?
They're putting matches together slowly. The winner of the New Japan Cup tournament that they're running, part of it will be in the United States, and then they're running the rest of it in Japan. The winner of that will face the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, which is currently Jay White, a New Zealander, a Gaijin, as they can be called. And that will be a big match. They have confirmed they'll have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the Gorillas of Destiny, take on them boys, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, the Briscoe boys. The Briscoe brothers will be there, and it'll be winner take all. Winner gets both the belts, so that's kind of cool. And that match will be nuts. That'll be absolutely nuts. There's no way it stays in the ring. It's going to be going out there. They're going to be fighting into Penn Station. That's a local reference, right? I know a little bit about New York, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So, what is coming up for you on the YouTube side? You have any big projects, any big videos that are rolling out soon?
I've been looking to do more something that's kind of overviews of different websites. So I have What About YTMND coming out.
What is YTMND? That's a little bit before my internet time. I was an AOL boy in like 1999, 1998.
YTMND, it's this site where basically people would just kind of make their own mini sites out of a single image and a single audio clip, evolved into people using animated GIFs and stuff. It almost, if you've seen kind of how like there's a certain style of edited video meme now that I feel like has its roots in that style of humor. But
it's like it was like a precursor to the internet BS that we all enjoy now. Like the
kind of, yeah.
It was meme before meme was a word. I've heard some people say that too about like E-Bombs World and different things like that, and different, message boards. I was a message board guy. My wrestling stuff came from message boards before you had like Reddit and Facebook and Twitter and all that, and it kind of got fragmented. And this is like pre-podcast stuff. I remember listening to internet wrestling shows like Wrestling Observer Live and Between the Ropes, and this is early 2000s. And you couldn't download it. You had to sit in front of your computer and listen to it in real time as it came to you
on fucking Real Player.
Yeah, Real Player.
Worst format.
With that T, with a like that T, like you. It was like you were listening to someone with a mic up to a radio. Like if you were talking to your friend on the phone, they're like, "Listen to this," Hey, Marty, I heard about this new cool sound. Check this out, like in Back to the Future or something.
I vaguely remember streaming the audio of an ECW pay-per-view like that on dial-up. It was the most miserable experience, but I couldn't get the pay-per-view and I had to know what happened.
Yeah, I can't blame you, man. And certainly it looks like it's just going to be a fun weekend for wrestling and just wrestling fans in general. That's my favorite part about WrestleMania. The show is fun, but I love the idea of just walking into any part of a city and seeing, boom, that guy's a wrestling fan. I can talk to him about wrestling right now. And you have this kind of, you kind of have this kinship and different stuff like that. All right, so people can give you a follow at Justin Whang. Subscribe to the YouTube channel is an absolute must. I've had a lot of fun hours watching your stuff and showing friends and different things like that. I had so much fun having you on. Hopefully we can have you on again at some point when the memes break. We'll go to the source. We'll go to the masters of the memery, the American meme, if you will. Justin Whang.
Is that like the American males?
American males.
American males.
American. That's their theme song. American males. What's
easily a top 10 wrestling thing.
Yeah, what are some of your top 10 wrestling theme songs? We're there now, man. My ADD is flying like crazy.
Yeah. All right. Recently, like the past week, I'm listening to Minoru Suzuki's theme over and over again. That's just the first thing on my YouTube music shuffle. That all those 90s Japanese wrestling themes, they all have like a certain kind of aesthetic that just appeals to me. Whatchamacallit?
I think the CFOs that they have, the new group that writes for WWE right now, is doing a great job. Though I enjoyed Jim Johnston, who was the main guy who wrote for WWE for a long, long time. Hopefully he gets in the Hall of Fame at some point. He wrote some great stuff, but it was getting to there where like, all right, we need a fresh take. And the CFOs came in and they wrote all that stuff for the NXT dudes, and they really hit it out of the park. Matt Riddle has this theme song in NXT. You need to look it up. It literally sounds like a track that Tupac didn't get to use in like the mid 90s. And it has this California love vibe on it. And Matt Riddle's like an MMA bro, that he was a former UFC fighter. So his whole bit is bro. Like literally this song starts with bro.
Oh my God. That's the kickoff to the song.
The lyrics are bro. Let me know, bro. like that's the whole
Jesus
song.
Christ.
It's a bunch of like fun hooks and stuff like that. All right, so Justin, give him a follow at Justin Whang. Give him a look on the YouTubes as well. A lot of fun stuff. You enjoy the humor that we have here on the show and the things that we're interested in. You can check that out. He has, so I would say, definitely start with that 2 Ultimate Warriors video. It shows how well and how much you research your stuff. You're not just a dude going on the internet saying things. And yes, people agree with you on the American Males theme song. But Justin, thank you so much for joining us on the Daily, dude.
Yeah.